Does mathematics disprove evolution? Let's see if the AI can help us. Hello, this is ChartGPT today. You know, somebody came out with this idea that evolution can be disproved through some kind of a formula. The idea of there's, 8 things that need to happen for something to work, that the mathematical probabilities couldn't have happened in the period of time given. So here's this formula. I'm not going to go through the formula, but you get the idea. He comes up with the distribution level that would have to be would be 1.5 times 10 to the 1,000, which is a huge number. But of course, some people say, well, there's a fallacy in this. Just because it was maybe you could hit on the first time, right? I mean, if you're looking for, like, you're playing poker, you're looking for one card, you could on the first time, or you could go through the mathematical possibilities. So you'd have to look at that dispersion. But it gets into this what they call post hoc fallacy. You cross a red light, you get a headache, so therefore red lights causes headaches. Same thing with pickles causes cancer type thing. The idea that just because something occurs doesn't necessarily make it a causality. So you deal 13 cards, it's 4 times 1,024 chances that in fact you would get that little set of cards. But that kind of assumes that the first time you deal it, or within the first few billion years, because we're talking about billions and billions of years, in the first few billion years these things all lined up perfectly. So I'm not sure that really proves anything one way or the other. Of course, there's this idea that from creationists is that if there is a watch, there must have been a watchmaker. Of course, this is the fallacy of the watchmaker. But on the other hand, isn't that what the evolutionists are doing? They're basically saying that the cards all lined up at the same time, in the first billion years, because with this formula, it would take billions and billions and billions of years. So you're hoping that all these cards line up in the very first period of time, which does seem to be very problematic. We asked the AI and said, okay, give me your best shot here. What are the best arguments for evolution? And here's what they came up with 6. I gave it a summary. And they talk about irreducible complexity. This is these mathematical probabilities that we just talked about, which seems astronomical, that they try to disprove with this watchmaker theory that evolution could have come up on the first draw, so to speak. So that, I'm saying that basically the probabilities don't matter. I'm not so sure about that. The other thing is the idea that things evolve in more complexity, not less. They seem to think that nature is an open system versus a closed. I'm not sure that's a good assumption. I don't know. There's a lot of arguments that people would say against that. There's also in the description box posting some people that are pretty smart people that would suggest the same thing. Then the fossil record, they always point to the fossil record, but that just shows that change occurred. It doesn't show necessarily the how. I mean, the change could have occurred in both ways. Then we get into this common industry or common design, number 5 down there, and basically it could be the other way, right? I mean, common ancestry just could mean a common desigon. But the key thing there is number 6, which I always kind of focus on, is the observational evidence. Of course, we all know the scientific method. It keeps repeated, but it's the idea you come up with this hypothesis and you test it. So how can we test evolution? Certainly microevolution you can, but these kind of what they call macroevolution, which is not a scientific term, I know, but nevertheless also people talk about basically saying that huge changes in genetic lineage occurs. So we try to go into this, and we see that this Richard Linsky has done an experiment since 1985-88. I think COVID got the experiment. I don't think they're continuing. I'm not sure. But anyway, basically, the COVID situation kind of stopped it for a bit because of the problems there. But the point is, he used these E. coli's that would reproduce twice a day, and he had over 65,000 generations of these E. coli's, which would be simulating to see what kind of evolution. Some say there was evolution. Some people say it's only microevolution. Other people say it's debunked. This gets into this adaptive versus non. I'm not going to get into that detail because that's quite in depth. But the point is, if you translate that into humans, that's 1.3 million years, which puts us back at even before Neanderthal into Homo erectus. And so that would be equivalent. So we should see similar evolution in the E. coli that we would have saw in humans, right? Maybe that's a bad assumption. Maybe E. coli wasn't the right test. But the point is, we have seen no test that really proves evolution, and it can be done, but it's very hard. So most of the evolutionary tests are tangential at best. So, but this doesn't necessarily prove God, but it doesn't necessarily prove evolution either. So I kind of remain agnostic on the theory. Look at what polling here, views of origin of human beings, it has pretty stayed constant. So all this talk of has risen, but not huge. What about you? Would you be willing to put all the money you've ever earned on the table and spin the wheel? And billions of years flashes by in a few milliseconds, and you'll find the results, and either you'll win or lose. Which would you bet, or not bet at all? I think I'll stay away from that bet. I don't like to bet unless I think I know I can win. I think when it comes down to it, people will believe what they want to believe. Take our online poll. Do you believe in evolution or creationism? Check out the AI and what their debunking of evolution is. You might agree or disagree and give us your thoughts. In any case, don't forget to subscribe.